One time for your mind, yeah. It's that headbang right there. It's Capital City Podcast. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
And tonight, we're talking about, well, you know, in a roundabout way, we're talking about longevity. But what my original intent tonight was to talk about at what age are you too old? And what all these rappers are doing to appear like they're still young. It's a lot of Peter Pan syndrome going on. So we're just going to start a conversation like this. We always start where?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. Now, in the early days of hip-hop, you had about 3 or 4 years to make your mark. And after 3 or 4 years, people automatically had this thing in their head that you're old school after about 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely.
It didn't take long. And this whole conversation came about because we were realizing that in the past 10, 15 years, it's been the same artists controlling the charts. Future, Drake, 21 Savage, Kodak Black. Mm-hmm. These dudes they've been who they are for way longer than rappers were able to back in the early days. Mm-hmm. Let's start with probably the biggest rap group ever pre-2000, Run DMC. You would think that Run DMC had their heyday and they were on top of the game forever. Right. It really wasn't that long.
Yeah.
You know, I first heard Suck MCs was at 83, 84. And I remember them doing when they came, I'm doing air quotes here, people. Yeah. When they came back with the bald heads, it was 1992.
What was that track again?
Down with the King. Now, here you are, you have the biggest group in hip hop. 8 years later,
change.
People decided that they were just,
right,
too old to be doing what they were doing. And realistically, those guys are probably about 30.
Damn, that was old.
That's the point I'm making.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, if you were 30 years old rapping, you seemed like an old man.
Right.
That was out of touch.
Absolutely.
Today, the people still running the game, most of them are 30-ish. You got a lot of new rappers coming out, but the stable, steady, tried and true dudes,
right,
they're about 30. And that used to be the nail in the coffin for a rapper.
Because I think, Rick Ross is in his 30s, right? 2 Chainz is in his 30s.
It wouldn't surprise, Rick Ross might be 40 now. And that would have been unheard of in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
For a 30 or 40-year-old rapper to be doing anything relevant.
So 10 years ago, he was around 30, if he's 40 now.
I'm just guessing. I'm gonna look up the age of Rick Ross. Just for clarity here.
Old heads.
Rick Ross is 47 years old.
I knew he was, okay, yes. Yeah.
So, and you go back let's go back 10 years. He was 37 years old.
Right.
Let's go back 15 years. He was 32.
Right.
When Melly Mel was 32, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
Done.
They were done.
Yes.
Eric B. and Rakim.
Yes.
When they were 30, over with.
Right.
EPMD at 30. Nobody wanted to hear it. Run DMC at 30. What are those guys doing looking like Onyx? Today, people accept 30-year-old rappers all the time.
Now, would you say LL lasted longer than 10 years?
LL lasted longer than 10.
Right.
Snoop lasted longer than 10.
Snoop the GOAT.
Yeah,
True GOAT.
The GOAT of longevity. Lil Wayne lasted longer than 10.
Right.
Now, Lil Wayne had an advantage that some of those other guys didn't.
The machine.
No, he started earlier.
Yes.
It's kind of like Chris Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when Chris Brown's around 10 years, you feel like, golly, how old is this guy? Well, he's 25.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's, you know, he started as a young teenager. So it doesn't hold the same weight when you've been 10 years in the game, you started, you were 15.
Okay.
As it does, you know. So, like, take a Chuck D, for example. You first heard Chuck D, he was a grown man already. Mm-hmm. MC Hammer was grown. Mm-hmm. But some of these other cats, you know, they start young. It gives you a little bit more time, or gave you more time back in the day. So why is 30, you know, people always say 30 is the new 20, 40 is the new 30. Apparently that's true.
Yeah.
50 is the new 40. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So how did we get here? What happened for us to be listening to Drake this long? For us to be listening to Future over this much time, where some of the greats back in the day couldn't last longer than 5 or 6 years of real relevancy?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with adaptability. And granted, the groups and the people from the past didn't last as long. Most of them didn't last as long. But there wasn't as large of a sample size to pull from.
And but here goes something else I thought about. Mm-hmm. In the early days of hip hop, it was for the youth, and anybody older than 30
hit the voice.
Oh, what is all this? I can't listen to all that. That bumpity bump. But back in the day,
right,
the older crowd didn't have a point of reference for hip hop.
Exactly.
So today, you have fans that are 50 years old that have only listened to hip hop their entire lives, or you know, most of their youth was spent listening to hip hop, and it's the language they speak.
Right.
So I understand that. I guess that would be part of the reason, because their fan base, you know, back in the day, your fan base was 30 and under because hip hop was young.
Right.
There were no 40-year-old rap fans in 1985. Mm-hmm.
Right. They
didn't grow up on that.
And I'm saying that too. But I'm saying, like, when I say the sample size, I'm talking about stuff to pull from. Because, like, a lot of these rappers say they got their style, or they started because of this person or that person. So these folks that have been around, like, take an artist like Drake, adaptability. Drake just did a track with Sexy Red. You know, like, Drake is damn near 40 years old. And I don't know how old Sexy Red is, but, you know, But
Sexy Red fans accept Drake, where Run DMC came out with the bald head looking like Onyx, and those fans did not accept Run DMC the same way.
Yeah, and Run DMC didn't come out with, for example, a Sexy Red. They didn't come out with somebody who was...
They didn't, but they tried to adapt their sound.
Yeah, that was terrible.
But see, that it was so. But I think that Drake and Sexy Red song is terrible.
Yes, me too. But it's out there.
And you saw you were at the party.
Yes, they go crazy for it.
They go crazy for it.
Now, are they going crazy for the collaboration, or are they going crazy for Sexy Red, or are they going crazy for Drake?
They're going crazy for Sexy Red.
Right. So it didn't matter who was on it, because it's her time, it's her moment. And
true.
An artist like Drake, true fans, they probably don't really rock with that track. You know, they rock with Drake, and to me, nothing about that track said Drake.
You think it has anything to do with the newer technology of age-defying products? And you understand what I'm saying?
Hell
like
yeah.
When Run DMC started to age, they came out with those bald heads probably not because Onyx had bald heads.
Oh no. It was a copying.
The hair technology wasn't there. Like, think about it. Now you can spray a hairdo on now out of a can.
Yeah.
And you can get an edge up off a pen.
Okay.
That wasn't available.
True.
You know, and they had some products, but it wasn't the way that it is now.
Right.
So I think that appearance wise, people today are able to look the same for longer.
Cause the only person we gave credit to for that before was Nas.
Nas always looked the same.
Yes.
And Snoop has maintained the same appearance.
He has. Yeah.
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 And that might be part of the key to maintaining this level of longevity. I can imagine like you don't see gray hair. You don't see gray hair rappers. But we all know that out here in the real world, as you age, your hairline goes back.
Right.
You get a bald spot on the crown. You get gray in your beard. You don't see that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But best believe a lot of these people are entering the stage. Like, you think that Rick Ross jump into a pool of bleach, he ain't gonna pop out with some gray in his beard?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. But when you see him on Instagram, he looks just like the guy you saw 15, 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
That's, and it's a whole lot easier to do that than it was back in the day.
Yes.
But I still think it's bigger than strictly appearance. I think it's something to be said in the way they're developing artists today too. Because that longevity comes from education. That time in the game is an education. Right. And they've learned, like Future, that last album he dropped with all those hits on there, I think that was his best work of his entire career. Yeah. Okay. That full album was good. It sounded mature.
Okay. You could understand what he was saying?
Not all the time. I don't ever hold not understanding what you're saying against an artist, though, because I listened to reggae for so long.
How much? What's the percentage of you? Did you understand what he was saying? If you had to gauge it.
I heard him when he said, "I love my grandmama." I was like, he loves his grandmama. He loves his grandmama.
Out of the greatest album he made.
I'm saying.
In what context did he use?
But it took him time to reach a point. Like, he started off with young street fans. Now he's at a place where, like, he's commercially viable in a way that he wasn't in the early days. Yeah. And that takes time to develop. I think Drake came out of the box like that. But like, take Lil Wayne. It took Lil Wayne a little bit of time to develop into the machine that we saw later. The early Cash Money days, when people throw back Lil Wayne joints, they don't go back to the early Cash Money days.
Nope.
You see,
right.
So one is, these are seasoned, developed artists at this point. And back in the day, there was more emphasis on the development. So when dudes came out, they were at their best when they came out. Absolutely. A lot of times.
Right.
And there's nowhere to go but down. We hear a lot of these rappers today, and there's nowhere to go but up. They're undeveloped when we first hear them. Right. Some of them are making their third and fourth song. Like, take Ice Spice, for example. She didn't have a whole bunch of songs under her belt. Right. She's on the way up. She's getting better with every song.
She didn't go to the BET Awards. I was like, damn. And she just came out. But she got a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. You seen that commercial?
I haven't.
Talking about a munch. like Ice Spice got these.
Have they listened to the song?
Ice Spice got these young people in a commercial.
Hey,
in a Dunkin' Donut commercial, she talking about a munch.
Hey, well, the Ice Spice story. On a side note, Ice Spice is an anomaly.
Yes.
You know, like we seen a lot of female rappers come and go, but just her shape and her build is, you know, you got people getting injections and it's just not gonna look like that.
Right.
That's all natural thickness that you don't. I can't think of another female that's naturally as thick and voluptuous as Ice Spice. Naturally. Hey, that's how rare it is out of all these rappers.
Right. And
she got, you know, so that in itself makes her kind of a unicorn. Everybody talk about having a big butt and all of this stuff and being thick. She didn't buy that. That's on her.
Right. And she's educated.
Educated. She's a nice, like, you know, she's a pretty girl. And there are a lot of pretty rappers, so that's not the thing that makes her stand out. It's not her face. There's a lot of pretty faces out there.
Right.
But she has a body that is kind of, I can't think of anybody else to compare it to. You know, Nicki Minaj got a big butt, but you know, she bought that.
She bought that.
Cardi B got a big butt, she bought that. Megan Thee Stallion shakes it like it's a big butt, but it ain't no Ice Spice big butt. You know,
the only other one that I know, and I don't know of her having surgery or anything, is light skinned Keisha.
Well,
she ain't Ice Spice though. She didn't come up with the TikTok sensation.
Right.
You know?
And we got sidetracked there talking about we're gonna get to that. That's gonna be a whole separate podcast.
Yeah.
But we talking about longevity and how it's changed through the years. Rappers did not have 10 and 15 years. Right. You know, back in the day, it was unheard of. Absolutely unheard of.
Right.
And just me having DJ'd this entire time, like, I remember being guilty of this thought process myself. Like, you know, a rapper come out, he's hot, and he put out the first album. You're like, oh, that's dope. The second album is always more commercial than the first.
Absolutely.
You know, the first one is the one that the streets are like, oh, Nas, Biggie, Gangstar. First album for the streets. Right. Next one, a little more commercial sounding. Right. You know, the voices are a little bit different. Like, you know, same. Even with Biggie. Biggie did more, like his delivery was more direct and high pitched.
Yes.
More of a yelling sound, not yelling, but louder.
Yes, very
aggressive. He toned it down
all the way.
Second album.
Yes.
You know, I don't know what would have become had he kept going, but
I was going to ask you that. Now, I can't even say if Tupac, but if Tupac and Biggie had lived, do you think they'll still be around now?
When they were, well, you got to think about the era they came up in. They were part of that era where you still only had 3 or 4 years. Like one of the most popular groups ever, Wu-Tang Clan. They got 3 or 4 years. Yeah. The whole entire crew got 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
To do their thing.
Average. Yeah.
And it's not like they just disappeared and fell off the planet. But by the third album,
where do you go?
Right. Yes. But today it's just not like that. And and with Wu-Tang, it wasn't even a case of they're too old, because it was just 3 or 4 years. Right. You know, like
they were older when they dropped though. They was in their late 20s.
Really?
Yes. They were in their late 20s when they dropped.
So that was a seasoned sound. So you talking about that first? I'm talking about that first album. We talking about 1993 though. That's 1993, 94.
Right. It might have been 1 or 2 of them that was young.
Well, no, I take that back, because by 2000 we was still. But you know, Ghostface was the one who was still going.
Yes.
After everybody else had, I'm not gonna say they fell off, but everybody else, like, their time had come and gone.
Right. Ghost kept going.
In the 2000s, Ghostface was still doing his thing.
Absolutely. Yes.
But even a group like Wu-Tang couldn't get away from the era. The era said you only get a small amount of time, and we moved on to the next thing.
Right. And
with certain artists, it's still like that. But when I look at what Drake has been able to do, I'm just perplexed. Like I said, it's not just him. Like 21 Savage has been around for a long time. J. Cole,
right, been around for a long time.
How are they able to continue this level of relevancy?
Well, I think it has, and I'm just thinking about this now. A lot of them stood by, like Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre, J. Cole, Jay-Z, Drake.
I'm gonna get back to Jay-Z in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, Drake, Jay Prince Jr. and them, and Lil Wayne, but predominantly Lil Wayne. A lot of those guys who have been around, now that I'm thinking about it, actually stood by somebody. Now, like we talked about Kodak Black, I think Lil Durk been around for like 10
Lil
years.
Lil Durk's been in the game for a minute.
Yeah.
And he's and right now he's experiencing major success.
Hell yes.
That had eluded him
right
for the first 7 or 8 years.
Right. It's crazy. But what were you gonna say about Jay-Z?
Jay-Z, as much as you wanted to think of Jay-Z as an artist that had super duper longevity,
right,
his reign really was shorter than 10 years. Yeah, 96. By 2006, was Jay-Z dropping new stuff that really mattered?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was an icon already after 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I can't when DJs, if you're gonna do a Jay-Z set, are you going past 2006?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the reason he seemed like he had this longevity is because he came from the era where dudes only had 3 or 4 years, and he made it past that.
Mm-hmm.
He was still bumping in the 2000s. A dude who came out in 96 still bumping in the 2000s?
Right.
Like, that was unheard of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Today, he's just, like everybody who's on top,
right,
has been out longer than rapper any of the major artists had an opportunity to perform back in the day. I can't think of one. Like, you could, any of these dudes that are on top right now,
right,
all of them have outlasted all the greats.
That's crazy.
That we could think of.
That's crazy. Yeah. And they still here.
Right.
Yeah.
Like even Outkast. Take Outkast, for example.
Right.
Freaknik, I think it was 94. Everybody came back with Outkast samplers, and it's like, oh, this group Outkast. And they dropped Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music.
Mm-hmm.
And the apex of the Outkast movement was Speaker Box and The Love Below.
Right.
What year was that? You see what?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Right, but it's only 5 or 6 years after their introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And, and we still think of them as one of the greatest groups ever.
Mm-hmm.
But their reign wasn't that long.
And some of the guys that I mentioned earlier, like 2 Chainz and Rick Ross.
Now, 2 Chainz, woo! 2 Chainz is, man.
Yeah, but like if 2 Chainz dropped the album today, you think the world will stop?
No. But he did have a nice long run, though. Because he's another guy that was from the era.
It was 10 years. Yeah,
he was another guy that was from the era where careers didn't last that long. And he was able to still be relevant at 30.
You see what I'm saying? 10 years. Well, he was older than 30 when he came out, yes.
No, he wasn't older than 30 when he came out, though.
Check it.
Because he, like, he was with Player Circle.
Yes.
Duffel Bag Boy.
Right.
2 Chainz
Late,
in
late
that group.
20s.
You know, so
Okay, late 20s.
So this dude's been around for a minute, but he's from that time period where making it past 4 or 5 years was a big deal.
Right.
So you think, you know, it's like, 2 Chainz. He couldn't just pop back now.
Well, he might pop up with somebody remix.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's still dope.
Yes, yeah. Same style.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
How long you think Jeezy run was?
Jeezy had a nice run.
Oh, my bad.
Gucci. Yeah. Now Gucci Man has defied the odds.
What?
Gucci Man has defied the odds.
I almost forgot.
Yeah, he made it a long time.
Man. 2 prison sentences, right?
Right.
It still came back.
Yeah.
When he came back this last time, man, they dropped Black Beatles with him and Ray Shrimmer. I was like, oh my God.
Gucci Man was on Black Beatles?
What? That was his coming home.
I never even realized he was on that record. I didn't even think about it.
And it dropped with the Migos, dropped probably like a month later. The hottest groups in the world at this time. And people, as soon as he came home, he dropped something with
Gucci Man was there, Jay-Z in Atlanta, though.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes. And still holds a spot high.
Well, you know, we did an episode called Falling Off.
Mm-hmm.
It talked about why people disappear.
Right.
And I think the thing about a lot of these artists is I think they learn from watching the other groups is that you cannot take a break. One of the things we talked about that'll make you fall off is too much time between projects.
Man.
Was there ever a time where Gucci Man didn't have something out? Even when he was in jail.
Right. Even when he was in jail.
And that's important. Can you think of
Absolutely.
a time where Future didn't have anything out? You can't.
Maybe a couple.
Can you think of a
months
time
ago.
when Drake didn't have anything out? Nope.
I know 2 people that took time between and came back just as strong as they did when the last time. Kendrick and J. Cole.
They did take a break.
Yes.
And they kind of occupy a similar lane. And that lane is they have the fans from old to young.
Absolutely.
And you got to remember the purchasing power. Like, young people make you hot, old people make you rich. Remember that.
And Kendrick a little bit better than J. Cole because Kendrick go even longer than J. Cole to drop a new project.
True.
Because he only got 2 albums out, right? Or 3.
Honestly, I'm not sure of the number. It's probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But when Kendrick dropped that last one, I know my son was like, hey, man, I've been listening to this Kendrick.
Right.
But he's another one, though. He wasn't old when he started.
Right.
So,
And he's still beside Dre.
right.
You know? Still beside Dre. Oh, we talked about it off air, but we can't forget your boy.
Who?
Eminem.
Eminem. Well, how long was Eminem's actual reign, though? Like, he's still around.
Yes.
But, like, being around and making music doesn't mean you're still at the top.
Well, I think selling out shows do.
Sold out shows?
Yes.
Well, he's going to sell out some shows.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, but if Jay-Z came back tomorrow and put on a show, you know he's going to sell that out.
Okay.
I mean, there's no doubt in my
okay.
mind that Jay-Z open up tomorrow in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely going to sell
He
out.
could announce that tonight.
The
the
show is
tickets-
at 11.
Right, and it
it's
was sell out.
10:30.
It was sell out before the doors open.
Yes.
And that's
yes.
without anything to promote.
But could he do that somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like if Jay-Z went on tour right now, I think it'd be the most successful tour in hip-hop history. You know, look, I went to LL show.
Yeah.
And if LL was doing the numbers he was doing and putting on that great show, can you only imagine if Jay-Z did the same thing? I think LL even called him out like, hey, why ain't Jay-Z out here doing the same thing? probably because he got $1 billion in the bank.
Yes, absolutely.
But
some people would go to the show just to see him.
Yeah, you just go.
Not even because they're a fan, just to
and they
see
be old
him.
and young because, like, but this goes to another point. Like, take a song like "Give It to Me," Jay-Z, "Give It to Me." That is old school now. The way that when I was in high school, the Temptations were old school.
Absolutely.
But Temptations is a whole different genre. And there was no hip hop from 20 years ago.
Right.
To play.
Back then. Right.
So that's part of, that's part of it, is that you got a generation of people that absolutely grew up on hip hop. Even their old school music is hip hop.
Right.
So
yes. Shit, I'm one of those people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, some of my old school music still got disco in it and all of that, but as a DJ, I got crates. When I go back past a certain point, it's like there is no hip hop.
Right. Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? I got a crate that when I go back to the 80s, I got a section where just pre hip hop.
Right.
Or pre hip hop being relevant enough to be thrown back to that era.
Right. Now, I hate this sidestep, but we were talking about Jay-Z, and we mentioned R&B. Can you think of somebody who, in the R&B world,
Mary J. Blige?
Hold on, let me finish the question. And I got a rebuttal to Mary J. Right. But Beyonce is another one. Man. She gonna go on forever.
But this conversation was never the same in R&B because, I watched Tina Turner come back in the 80s at 40 years old and have a bigger career than she ever had.
Okay.
So this conversation doesn't even apply to R&B, not one iota.
Well, I was just talking about the level of greatness and lasting, because Beyonce has been consistent since she came out, and she's only gone up bigger and bigger and bigger.
Rihanna was able to do it too.
Rihanna done got no music out. Rihanna ain't had no music out in so long, you can't even put her in the conversation. She is relevant because of who she is at this point, not because of her music.
That's true, but if you just go back to, let me see, what are we right now, 2023? Even if you're right, she hasn't dropped
nothing.
Yeah.
Not even a single, a verse, nothing.
She gave you that song off the soundtrack.
I want new music from Rihanna.
Yeah, but R&B is different. Not plagued with that same thing. Like,
I was just, since we were talking about it, made me think about B. That's it.
Yeah. Beyonce is solid. She's gonna be solid for a while, but it goes back to she hasn't aged
at all, even after the 4 kids.
Yeah, when she gets out there and dance, like, I don't know if you've seen any of the memes where they show Mary J. dancing.
No.
And they did the same thing to Genuine too. It's like, the body just don't move the same way. It don't look the same when you do. But Beyonce, even like when she's moving, she doesn't look like she
look like LeBron on the court.
Right, she's like LeBron on the court. Exactly. Exactly. She's like LeBron out there. Yes. So you don't even see the signs of her slowing down when you look at her. Mm-hmm. But you know something? That's another part of why today's hip hop artists last a little bit longer, because their stage show isn't as energetic and animated as back in the day. So you don't get a chance to see the decline. Right. You don't see the decline anymore. Mm-hmm. But you think about like you take a MC Hammer for example. He was doing so much on stage. Like, at a certain point, you can't get down like that.
Right.
It don't look the same.
Nah, period. No matter what you think. Cause Genuine thought he was doing it.
Right. And
otherwise he wouldn't have done it.
Right. And I see, like, I remember when Big Daddy Kane and Scoob and Scrap used to get out there and do that. You know, and Big Daddy Kane
still do a split
he still does it. But guess what? I know no salt. You know, you see the difference.
Stop.
In today versus
I ain't never seen him do a split back in the day. And when he did the split, I was surprised.
Nah, Big Daddy Kane still got it.
I was surprised.
You know? But you know, it's not a huge fall off. But Big Daddy Kane has embraced, like, he's not trying to pretend
right
that he's anything other than where he is in his career. And he's embraced it.
Right.
But when I look at, like, we're talking about, okay, let's take the City Girls, for example. When I hear Sexy Red and all these other female rappers, I would argue that, like, you know, as much credit as we gave to Lil' Kim for starting a certain trend, in the modern times, the modern era,
City Girls.
It's the City Girls were the prototype.
That was it.
And they took too much time off, or they, you know, like, they could have easily been one of these people that we're talking about that just stayed consistent over a long period of time. But, you know, they took time off and allowed other people to step into their lane. Right. You know, I think the City Girls could have, you know, possibly saved us from Pound Town.
Damn. But you're right.
You know what I mean? Had they been about keeping this train rolling consistently, because it's apparent that that's where, you know, that's what people are into.
So they always say the rap game, men always putting the women against each other. And then you get a successful group like the City Girls, and neither one of them dropped a solo project.
I don't think they need to drop a solo project.
Well, if the group wasn't doing A,
well, you know, girls locked up for a little while.
Yeah, but that wasn't enough time.
Yeah, but she's been out. Like, the moment she got out, they were supposed to, you know,
drop.
They were supposed to drop.
Yeah.
You know, and that song with Usher, was that their song or Usher's song?
Usher's. That's the Atlanta stuff. You know what I mean? I gave you one.
Right, that was their door. They were supposed to kick that wide open and keep this party going.
You see, when the Migos kind of tapered off a little bit.
That's another group that was able to last longer.
And they dropped solo projects.
They lasted longer than Wu-Tang.
And they dropped solo projects.
Not saying Wu-Tang is done.
Right.
Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Wu-Tang. I'm not
messed that up.
I'm not burying the Wu-Tang.
Everybody want to hear that.
But I'm just saying, like, their time on top of the game was longer than Wu-Tang's time.
Absolutely. A lot longer than that. How many other groups lasted this long?
Right.
Well, we give Outkast credit for, you know, but Outkast.
But they came from a different era.
Right. And they took that break too.
It was too long. It was just too long. I think the last thing we heard out of them was when they won the UGK joint, International Players Anthem.
You mean Outkast? Right. And that was rare. You talking about Chose trying to get
and Andre would pop up. Yeah, Andre would pop up on people's stuff every now and then.
Yeah.
And whenever he popped up, it's not like people weren't begging for more.
Absolutely.
You know, Andre was like Lil Wayne, man. You put Andre on a song, man, shoot. You count on that joker. Get ready to be something. So it goes back to the question, though. What is it about these artists today? Let me see. Who are the hottest hip hop artists out right now? I'm looking this up because Google usually does it good. I'm just gonna say who are the greatest rappers today. They say Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, and Nas, Lil Wayne, Biggie, Tupac, Drake, Rakim, yada 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 yada. Now on this list, Lil Wayne, I'm not gonna say Lil Wayne is as relevant today as he was back then. They got Future on here. Like I said, we already talked about Future. Here's one we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about Dr. Dre.
Producer.
Not necessarily a rapper, but
I'm glad you said him though.
But even his time rapping, like this dude rapped like he was the original Anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
There's the first time you heard I heard Dr. Dre rap, it was like 1985,
wow,
84.
But you ain't
he rapped on Do the Smurf and daggone World Class Wrecking Crew. This is back in the mid 80s. Then he rapped with NWA in the late 80s, early 90s. Then he was still rapping, but I'm just saying he's still rapping and as a performer during an era where dudes had 4 years tops.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be the biggest thing in the game and it's still over for you in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Dre kept reinventing himself and his sound.
He's so smart. And Dr. Dre still got people. It's somebody who died today that was 50 years old that was waiting for Dr. Dre new album to drop.
Yo, you can believe that.
And the last one dropped what? 2000. You got the Chronic, then you got the Chronic 2000.
Put out when the album called Compton, the last one he dropped.
When was that?
It was around the time the NWA movie came out.
Oh. Okay.
It had a lot of guest appearances on it.
Okay, so it wasn't a Dre album. It was like more like a compilation.
Kind of, but it didn't have that impact. But it was good. It was good work.
Okay.
But Dre being relevant on the charts lasted a good 15 years easily as an artist. Right. And that was unheard of back then. But now it's like everybody's like, if you reach a certain point, you can maintain your relevance in the game for an extended period of time.
And then you step behind that young boy. I mean, because, Kendrick, you know what I mean? Step behind that young boy.
Now but Dre hasn't put anything out as a performer since Kendrick's been around.
No, you don't have to.
But Kendrick's song that really introduced him to the masses featured Dr. Dre.
Absolutely.
A couple of women with the weather. Welcome to LA.
Right.
That had Dr. Dre on it.
Right. Old.
And that was 10 years ago.
It's crazy. Yeah.
10 years ago, Dr. Dre helped Kendrick Lamar get a foot in the door.
Sound like a long time ago, don't it?
Yeah, so we talking about a 30-year span. Like that was unheard of back then.
Right.
So, which gets us to today. We already did all, we talked about all them old people. Today, it's either one or the other. Either somebody comes out, they have a hit song, you never hear from them again. Or it's some dudes that's been around for the past 10 years.
Right. You can't forget your boy.
Who's that?
Yeezy.
Hey, well, Kanye's time, his main period in the spotlight wasn't that long either. As like him being on top of the charts didn't last. Like it wasn't longer than 10 years, was it?
I mean, I think if Kanye dropped tomorrow, it'll be at the top of the charts.
I don't think so, because Kanye dropped not too long ago, and I don't, what is anybody playing off of that?
Yeah.
You know, he's relevant in society. He's relevant in entertainment.
Right.
But musically, being on top, he didn't like. Did he have 10? He might have gotten 10 years out of it, but
he don't. Even when he don't drop music that's quote unquote for the club.
Hey man, if it ain't for the club, it's not gonna turn into a classic.
So.
You gotta have something. Like, here's the thing: to make classic material, like okay, let's take that new Nas album. Mm-hmm. It's great,
but it's not. Yeah.
But when you think classics,
right?
Think about the stuff that you can go back and play and make people move.
Absolutely.
And that's just kind of the nature of hip hop. Mm-hmm. So Kanye's time really wasn't as long as you think it is. He's just been relevant because you got to think after he made his last great album, he was on TV with the Kardashians. Then you had all that mess going on. He ran for president, for crying out loud. I mean, he's just been a fixture in mainstream society for so long that you forget that musically, he's you're not really checking for that.
Right. That's crazy for somebody that impactful and yeah.
But like I said, we named those guys that we've been listening to for a while, man, and they're more than the ones we named. Who do we name? Like Kodak Black, 21 Savage, Future,
the Migos,
Dirk. I know there are more, so don't. I mean, there's more. There's more than that.
You know what I just thought about?
What's that?
How many New York rappers did you just name?
But nah, New York hadn't been able to do. Cardi B is approaching that level too. I think Cardi B is about there. She is the most recent New York rapper to start approaching that 10 years in the game and still, Cardi B drop a joint, still gonna rock.
I mean, you ain't just act like Nicki Minaj don't drop and do numbers now. You're not gonna do that to Nicki. Don't even think about it too much.
I'm thinking real hard. Like I'm just thinking as a DJ.
Yeah.
Do I need Nicki Minaj's new record in the club?
Do you need Cardi's?
Yes.
You play a lot of Cardi.
Yes.
Since she came out, you play a lot of Cardi.
Oh,
Cardi.
You mean the new stuff?
Anything from Cardi?
Yeah, I can still drop Cardi joint.
Other than Bodak Yellow.
Yeah, you can still drop Up. You can drop that joint. You can drop her verse out of a song sometimes. Cardi. You could do a Cardi set. She's kind of like Lil' Kim right now. You just go back and give them some Cardi.
I was just asking. I don't know.
But
it's just
yeah, Cardi. I think she might be New York's lone representative in today's atmosphere, but she's on the verge too. She got to do something soon.
That's why she dropped bong 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 bong.
Yeah, and that I don't know.
Script Club.
Yeah, that was
because it said Meg. Meg hasn't dropped anything in a few years.
Yeah, her talent must have been in her toe.
If you gonna choke me in my pinky toe.
I'm sorry, y'all. So, that was a bad joke.
If Meg doesn't come back with some booty popping stripper music,
she might have taken too much time off.
She's done.
She might have taken. Hey, we talked about this.
Don't come out rapping.
You cannot.
Listen,
Meg cannot take that time off.
Meg cannot come out rapping. She has to come out with her butt in the air, and talking about popping that thing to get back.
I don't know, man. The right song, man. She's got to put out the right song. Here's what happens: a lot of these artists, like I said, they start off for the streets, and then they work strictly for radio. They want radio play because radio play keeps you relevant to all of these other people that really don't care about your music.
Absolutely.
You know, they know that if you're playing on the radio,
that's why I said she can't come out rapping. That's not gonna get her the radio play. She gotta bust it open on every track to come back.
I think the right song though will do it.
And I'm saying that man can rap. I know she can rap. You know what I'm saying?
It got to be the right song though. I don't know if Bongos is the right song.
No.
But I said the same thing about Drake and Sexy Red, and look, I was wrong. It was the right song.
But that was Sexy Red though. We already established that's because it was Sexy Red. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we talking about Sexy Red. Is Sexy Red an icon already?
No. It's momentary stuff, man. You know everybody's on TikTok and doing challenges and all this other stuff. And the girl came out and said it was pink and a booty hole brown.
So, you know, here goes the crazy thing. It's hard to predict who's going to be around later. Like,
absolutely.
When Cardi B dropped Bodak Yellow, I thought that was the beginning and the end of Cardi B. I thought it was the last we're going to hear of her.
Oh, I didn't.
I did. I thought,
she was around before she had already built that audience.
Yeah, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
And we could be wrong about Sexy Red because the only thing to keep Sexy Red from keeping this thing going would be her taking a break.
Right.
If she keeps right on and keeps right on, hey, that don't mean she's gonna stop.
She's pregnant.
That doesn't mean she's gonna stop. I have an image of my head. I see her on stage
talking about the same
in a club with an 8-month pregnant belly. She'd probably be out there
popping it.
Thong on popping it.
The devil has won. The devil has won. If that happens, if that's accepted.
Oh man, come on.
I don't care what age group. If that is accepted, and I'm talking about with the same content, the same.
She's gonna absolutely keep the same content. But
the devil has
I
won.
think there is a possibility because as much as I thought Pound Town was a drop in the bucket, like from what I've seen at these parties,
listen,
you know, she got a few she got a few bangers for the club.
Absolutely.
And so that means that even though you hear Pound Town on the radio and hit a joint with Drake on the radio,
mm-hmm.
She got 2 or 3 other joints that people are checking for. That's what keeps you performing because that means your core audience knows more of your music than just the ones you hear on the radio. Like Gucci Mane. Mm-hmm. When Freaky Girl was on the radio, he had 4 or 5 other songs that everybody knew all the words to. And that weren't on the radio. And that's where Sexy Red is right now.
Sexy, no, I think there's something bigger at play because why didn't Drake do the track with Ice Spice?
I don't know, but from everything I read, it seemed like they had some kind of falling out back in the day. You know, I ain't gonna say back in the day because it makes it sound like it was years ago.
In her career.
But right, and you know, he invited her out somewhere or something,
mm-hmm.
and then he was following her, and then he just unfollowed her.
Okay.
And so maybe their relationship isn't in a good place.
Drake, most of the not the name brand artists, for lack of a better term, but most of the artists that he does music with, Drake did a track with them. Like, you don't hear from him no more. You know what I mean? There's a lot. Like, I think
like
Drake,
that dude Smiley.
Yeah, it's a few of them.
And yeah.
He's seizing the moment, and like we talked about, I think Ice Spice is gonna be around for a while too. You know, but he didn't do a track with her.
It wouldn't surprise me if Sexy Red lasts longer than Ice Spice.
For real.
Yep.
Man, you speaking a lot of stuff on this.
Hey, I'm just saying because I don't know. I think that she has an opportunity to capture a core audience that's gonna ride with her. You know, I think like I could see Ice, like if Sexy Red, you know, the sex tape, none of that stuff, her fans don't care about that.
Right, because
Ice Spice is in a different place. It's like the bigger you get, the easier it is to disappear. Sexy Red isn't as big as Ice Spice.
No.
And, you know, like Gucci Mane was never, I don't think Gucci Mane was as big nationally as Jeezy was.
No.
But look who was able to maintain the longevity.
Gucci.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's what I see Sexy Red and Ice Spice. I think Ice Spice has reached a point where, you know, she's so big that, you know, there's nowhere to go but down.
Damn.
And that's just how it happens out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think Sexy Red has reached that. I think she still got, you know, got that core. Like you know, this 21 Savage rode this train, but after that Drake album, Drake introduced him to an audience that he didn't have before.
Absolutely. And that's what.
And those people are fickle. Those people are fickle, and they have short attention spans. And when they let you go, nothing compares to the success that you felt when you rolling with Drake.
Right.
You know, so Kodak Black didn't get where 21 Savage got.
Right.
Kodak Black is going to be able to keep going when 21 Savage's career starts sliding.
Going down. Right. Right.
And I think that's what's happening with Ice Spice, you know, all in the commercials and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
Same thing with even a Cardi B, for example. You know, Megan Thee Stallion, they've reached that point where there's nowhere to go but down.
Yeah. Damn. Cardi,
Future never turned into that. That's why we still seeing.
Right.
You know.
Right. Right.
He's not.
He let the music do.
He wasn't a household name.
Right.
But once you're a household name, it's the beginning of the end.
Shit, there's probably people spitting Future rhymes that don't even know him. Like the choruses that he does for his tracks.
Right. You hear the music, but he's, you know, just hasn't reached that point. Like I said, Drake was able to do it, but even Drake is starting to see the chinks in the armor now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, it's not a guaranteed lock that Drake's gonna drop something and everybody's just gonna love it because it's Drake. That time has come and gone. So
yeah, that's why he did the track with Sexy.
That's why he did the track with Sexy.
Right. And that's why he run around, doing the features and stuff that he do. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we ain't gonna talk your head off about these rappers that have been in the game forever, but hey, that's the thought for the night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Talk about it amongst your friends. And see, are we lying? We ain't lying.
Yeah. And we know it's somebody that we forgot to mention.
I know.
We wasn't trying to mention everybody.
I know. I'm trying to.
But we hit the main ones.
Yep.
Definitely hit the main ones.
I'm gonna do a quick search. All right. Here goes one. Lil Baby.
Okay.
Was headed that direction.
Down.
He was headed to that point where he could be one of them dudes where you're like, man, we've been listening to Lil Baby for 10 years straight. But he started to turn into a household name.
Right, because he was everywhere.
And what happened?
He had to cancel his tour because low ticket sales.
So am I lying? Once you're discovered by the masses, man, you only got a year or two left.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
The moment you're sitting courtside with the owner of a team,
right?
Meek Mill,
right? Yeah.
You know, you sitting up in the box with Robert Kraft, because you're not the people who made you feel like you're theirs, and when you're not theirs anymore,
right?
They give you to the world, but the world isn't going to keep you for longer than a couple of years. The world is moving on.
Absolutely.
So it's the people who don't reach that point. Like Chuck, let's take Chuck Brown and go-go music, for example. Chuck Brown did his thing for 40, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
If Chuck Brown had blew up like EU did with the butt.
Right. He wouldn't have made it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Dipset
never
Right.
never went right. So they were able to maintain for a long period of time during that era.
During the era.
But look what happened. Look what happened with 50 though.
Yeah, I don't think they made it.
And as big as 50 Cent got, you talking about like 2 or 3 albums.
Right. Fast.
Right.
Fast.
Household name.
Absolutely.
DMX.
50 still sell out.
Would he sell out a concert?
Here?
I think 50 could sell a concert out.
I know he do it overseas, but here, you think he can sell it out?
Well, it depends on, like, that's the thing. Who you bringing with you?
No. We're saying. I'm asking about 50 Cent. Because if you bring 10, 11 people with you, are you really selling it out, or is it the association?
Ah, man.
Right. I think that's a good stopping point.
Yeah. So y'all ponder that on your own, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to burn up all your time.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the Capital City Podcast. We talking longevity tonight and how it's changed through the years. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to get my followers up on Instagram because I'm old, and I was trying to, I came in and just saying, man, don't nobody need no Instagram and all that stuff. And now, you know what? Doggone it, I need some followers.
Right.
So follow me at The Real Capital J on Instagram and Twitter. Forget Twitter. Instagram.
Twitter,
Twitter, that's it.
Twitter popping.
Well, I'm on Twitter too. The Real Capital J on Instagram and Twitter. Oh yeah, Twitex.
Yeah.
Follow me because I'm still out here DJing and stuff. Y'all can see everything that's going on. See the face behind the voice. See me and DL out here at these parties, rocking the house. So we out of here.